What is the correct punishment for murder? You probably have an idea in your head. Maybe it's 10 years, maybe 5, maybe life in prison, or maybe your answer would even be the death sentence. It depends on the person. Now, what if I ask you what's the correct sentence for different corporate crimes? Like defrauding investors or hiding critical research in order to make sure that your company keeps making record profits, or pushing a pharmaceutical product that will get thousands addicted. What's the correct punishment? It can be hard to answer that second one, for me as well. What does it mean to defraud billions of dollars? Well, here's an example, just so we know what we're talking about. Let's say we have a dude, and he markets himself as being a genius. He plays League of Legends during business meetings. He drives a regular car and is all about making the world a better place. At least that's his sales pitch. That's what he tells everyone. In time, he runs the world's second largest cryptocurrency exchange. And all is going amazing. He's making billions. He's the richest person under 30. But you see, there is a problem. He is not actually competent. He's not smart. And in no way is he special. So in time, everything goes to hell. The fraud he and his colleagues were committing comes to light. His cryptocurrency exchange is destroyed. It tanks the entire cryptocurrency market. And billions upon billions of investor money, others people money that is lost. During this video, I'm going to try to convince you something that I've recently started to believe, that people like him are the worst in society, even worse than murderers, thieves, and the like. And why I believe that they should get the harshest punishment we have. I personally don't support the death penalty for a few reasons, but I would support a life in prison for people like him. There is a reason I chose Sam as my example. See, he's nowhere near the top of the worst corporate criminals, just among the ones we know of. So if I can explain to you on his example why we need much harsher sentences for people like that, then I'm sure you can apply it to even worse people than him. And there are many. There are 3 big reasons why I think he should spend a lot of time in prison. And just to illustrate my point, I'm going to compare him to a murderer to see who is worse. First, let's look at the harm that was done to other people. At first, you might think that it's not a big deal. Okay, investors lost money, but aren't those people already really rich? And sure, some of them were, and some of them will be okay. But here's where this goes into supervillain territory. Sam's company FTX knew from the start that they were a scam. Of course, how could they not? But they wanted to get as many people on board. The more people, the more money. They targeted not only big shot investors, but also the everyday people. The people working regular jobs with regular pay, with regular struggles. They've spent billions in marketing, paying for a Super Bowl ad, spending $300 million to have stadiums named after them. But the biggest thing they did was partner with a large number of influential celebrities and YouTubers, the people that are trusted, and got them to promote their, scam. And then they got that person that you trust to tell you, look, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. This is what you've been waiting for. You can make a lot of money. Don't miss out. It's sort of like weaponizing hope. And it's done in a lot of industries. You sell the people hope that they can drastically improve their lives. They can get away from their financial troubles. And they can make everything better for them, their family, their kids. And so they were fooled, alongside with professional investors that spend their years studying this stuff. Massive investment funds that have hundreds of analysts working on these things. And yet they were all fooled. Estimates claim that over 1 million people lost out. Most of them were regular people. They weren't losing $20 or $30. A lot of them were losing their savings. Millions and millions of hours of work went into earning that money. and then it's gone, thanks to a few people, a few very greedy people. And it's not about the money, it's about the consequences. There is a lot of research put into this, and it's clear big financial stress like this has enormous harms. The people suffering often take it out either on themselves or the people around them. Marriages and friendships will be broken. It causes fights and pain. There are kids around today that won't have the opportunity to go to college because their parents lost the money in FTX. No, sorry, not because their parents lost the money. They didn't lose it because the money was stolen from their parents. And maybe worst of all, there are people out there, maybe in the hundreds or even the thousands, that will, as a result of this, do the worst thing imaginable to themselves. Of course, it's never one cause, but there is no doubt that in a world without Sam and without FTX, hundreds of thousands of people live significantly better lives. There are very few murderers. I personally cannot think of a single one outside of war criminals that have caused this much pain and suffering. This is why, on the metric of harm, I think Sam and people like him are far worse than common criminals, and I think they deserve more jail time. But there are two more metrics to go. The second one is intent. What did the person want to accomplish? Let's take the average murderer. And look, none of this that I say will be a justification. I don't have to say this, but murderers should be in jail. It's not good. Definitely bad. The average murderer is usually a broken person. Decades of trauma, abuse, poverty contribute to so many mental problems that make it far more likely for people to hurt others. Then this broken person usually in a moment makes the decision to take away someone's life, often under the effect of drugs or alcohol. Does that justify it? No, it doesn't. But let's compare that to Sam. Sam was not some traumatized kid that was pushed into this because he didn't have a choice. His parents are Stanford law professors. Like, you can look up how much they make. Like, this kid was born into a millionaire family. He finished MIT and got a job at Jane Street Capital, a very prestigious Wall Street firm. He had no reason to do this, no reason to ruin hundreds of thousands of lives. This is a story of a guy that wasn't satisfied being a millionaire. He wanted to be a billionaire. And he was ready to sacrifice a lot of people to do it. If you're still not convinced that on the psychological side he's a far worse human being, take this into consideration. This was not a moment's decision. His entire scam was years in the making. He had all the time in the world to think about what he is doing, what he is willing to sacrifice in order to get the fame and the money, the more money. Now, after being caught, after his company is destroyed, he tells us that he is sorry, that he feels very bad, that he made a mistake. But does anyone believe him? I don't, and I don't think I ever will. This was planned. I think the only thing he truly regrets is getting caught. That's the second reason, and here is the third and final one. It's something called deterrence. Now, you've probably never heard of it, but you've probably heard someone say at least once, look, if we had longer prison sentences, there would be less crime because criminals would be afraid of spending a lot of time in prison and they wouldn't commit a crime. It sort of makes sense. Sadly, for most crimes, it doesn't work because most crimes are not calculated decisions where all factors are taken into considerations. No, they're momentary decisions. Usually the people doing it don't even know how much prison time is on the table. But there is one exception. white collar corporate crimes. Here, deterrence actually works, and it makes me happy. The threat of more jail time actually means less crime committed, and here's why. Financial crimes are planned and calculated for a long time, and the people doing them have all the resources they need, including the best legal advice money can buy. The thing is that these sort of people do the crime a similar way they would an investment. They take into consideration the risk and the possible reward. If the risk is life in prison or 40 years, then that's a whole different formula. Simply, many of them would not be ready to do it. Most of them wouldn't. Because the way things are, oftentimes it's 4 years, 2 years, 5 years. And you know what? After 2 years in prison, you can have a completely normal life. If you manage to stash away some of the money, you can have a great life. If we started sending them to prison for decades, there would definitely be a lot less crimes like this in the future. And that means a lot less suffering. And if I've convinced you that we should give harsher sentences for people like Sam, then we can also do it for people that are even worse. Like this lizard person that hides critical research about how his platform, Instagram, contributes to teenage depression. Tens of millions of teenagers suffering. But if he had to change it, it would be less profitable. And he might lose 4% of his stock value. Oh no, I'm so sad. I hope Mark can pay the bills at the end of the month. And he's not the worst. Then there's the Sackler family. Their entire family business is getting tens of millions of people addicted to their pharmaceuticals, fully well knowing that it has disastrous consequences. 600,000 people dead. That's like 4 Yugoslav wars. And they get to keep their money and their freedom. And they're probably not the worst. What about ExxonMobil, that for decades has hidden research into climate change, denied it, funded, lobbied, all in the effort of preventing substantial action that could at least lessen the impact of the climate crisis? I don't even know how many people they've killed with their actions. Millions, tens of millions, in the future, hundreds of millions. If Ethiopia and Egypt go to war in the future over water, you know who contributed? ExxonMobil. Way to go, guys. I have a video on that, by the way. If you're interested in me making a detailed video about some of these other people or some other criminal of this kind, look, I would be ready to do it. Feel free to write it in the comment. Or if this video gets, 20 likes, I'll do a video on Mark Zuckerberg being an evil goblin man. But let's end on a positive. Look, remember Sam from before? Well, you, my friend, are richer than he is. A few weeks ago, he was among the richest in the world. Right now, he is in the negative. Millions in the negative. So pretty much whoever you are, wherever you are richer than he is. What do you think? You can let me know in the comments. I read every comment, I promise. Not that I get too many, sadly. But seriously, tell me what to think. Do you think there is some truth into what I'm saying? Or maybe do you think we should be more lenient? Maybe people like Sam are not as bad as I say. And if for some reason you liked listening to me ramble around about different topics, look, here are 2 videos YouTube thinks you will like. I don't know if YouTube's right, but you can know. If you want to see new videos that I make in the future, feel free to subscribe. It means a lot to me. I appreciate every one of my subscribers. They're all really amazing.